Hello friends, my name is Alok Mishra and I once again welcome all of you on my YouTube channel. Today, once again in this brief and short video, I will discuss what is irony, and in fact I will try to simplify this concept and all the fuss around this term irony. So let's begin with the definition itself. So what is irony? When it comes to defining irony, most of the times what we do is we actually define a type of irony, that is verbal irony, and we generally say irony is when you say something else and mean something else, mostly opposite. So it may be a definition of verbal irony, but it is not the definition, or at least the appropriate definition of irony itself. So what is irony? In simple terms, irony is the name of that situation that is mostly amusing or sometimes melodramatic, tragic, and sad. And this situation is created by the means of linguistic uses or uses of language by the author in terms of literature. We are trying to define irony within the circumference or within the limits of literature. So this is generally a situation which is amusing or sometimes tragic or dramatic or sad. But most of the times it is only an amusing situation. And some examples are when Kent comes disguised as a fool in King Lear. King Lear does not know that he is Kent, the same person I just banished, but audience know that he is Kent. So this is a kind of situational irony. And when in the long poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, we find a prominent example of situational irony, or some might say cosmic irony, when the person, the narrator or the chief protagonist of the long poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the sailor himself is trapped in the ocean, and the poet writes, "Water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink." So this is situational irony. Now, after trying to define irony in the simplest terms, once again repeating that, which is a situation mostly amusing, sometimes tragic and sad, and it is created by the use of language in clever measure. And there are major three types of irony prominently used in literature. The first that we all know is verbal irony. And if I say verbal irony, most of you will remember, those who have read the novels of Jane Austen, the opening, or I should say the great opening of Pride and Prejudice, when Austen claims that a man with good position is always looking for a good wife, which is not true. In fact, it is just the opposite. In Victorian age, women were actively looking for husbands who could take care of them. And in general, in universal terms as well, it is women or the family of the women who are actively looking for a bridegroom and not the opposite. Sometimes it may be opposite, and nowadays it has become ironical itself. So verbal irony, what does it mean? What is verbal irony? As a term signifies, or as a term itself gives the description away. Verbal irony is when you say something else and mean something else. Most of the time, you speak just the opposite of what you want to mean. And if you try to remember your childhood days, or I should say high school days. So in high school, what we generally used to do is, if there is a short person, a little short or of just the average height or a little below the average height, what people generally do is, the kids generally do is, "Hey, tall man, come here." Or if a person who is not that strong or not that well built or a little weak in presence or appearance, we generally used to chide that person like, "Hey, strong man, hey, superman, hey, Batman, hey, bodybuilder." So, verbal irony means, in simple terms, you speak something but mean entirely opposite of that thing. And if we go into the depths of verbal irony, there may be some other subcategories like litote, hyperbole, or understatement. And after verbal irony, the second most prominently used irony in literature is dramatic irony. And dramatic irony is something that involves the audience. In a novel, in a poem, or in a play, audience know what is happening, but the character, the person of interest, does not know what is happening. For example, if you remember the novel Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, we know that Bathsheba is not interested in Boltwood actually. She is just trying to make fun of him or indulge in some sports, and she writes Valentine letters to Boltwood. But Boltwood thinks Bathsheba is enchanted by my charms and she is actually in love with me. So this is called dramatic irony. A person who is involved in the act does not know that what is happening with me, but audience generally know what is happening actually, and it is prominently seen in plays or also in novels. And the third most commonly used irony in the works of literature is situational irony. Unlike dramatic irony, when characters are involved, situational irony involves situations as the name suggests, and situational irony simply means someone expecting something to happen, but what happens is actually opposite or actually unexpected. And the most prominent example that I can give right away is, if you remember the play by Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet both know like they are going to rise because the poison they are eating is not that effective and they will in fact wake up. But what happens is actually the opposite. In the end, they both die. One kills himself and one dies by the poison. So this is an example of situational irony, and in short, I will just repeat it once again. You expect something else to happen and something entirely opposite happens in that type of irony. So this was it, and I will just recap everything once again. Irony is a situation which is unexpected, mostly amusing, sometimes sad and tragic, sometimes melodramatic. And there are majorly three types of ironies used in the works of literature: verbal irony, situational irony, and dramatic irony. Verbal irony is direct use of language when you mean something but say something else, most of the time opposite. Situational irony is some situations that are not expected. Someone expecting A to happen, but Z happens. And dramatic irony is when a character does not know what is happening around him or her, but audience or the readers exactly know what is happening. And there may be other types of ironies in subcategories of these three ironies that I will suggest you to find out when you read the definition itself or the kinds of ironies in some good dictionary of literary terms. I would suggest M.H. Abrams, or I would suggest Penguin's Literary Terms and Literary Theory Dictionary. Do something yourself so that you are involved and you actually understand and dig out more. So friends, this is it for today, and I'll be back very soon with some more 5-minute explainers in which I will try to explain and simplify major literary concepts or major literary terms or major literary ideas in 5 minutes so that you can understand the most in very few minutes of your important precious time in a day. Thanks for watching. Have a good time. All the best.